Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out with the one, the only heavyweight Sol Dacres over in Riyadh. Sol, it's not quite Birmingham, but it'll do. How you doing, Sol?
Yeah, man, it'll do nicely. The weather's nice. All good, man. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. All the better for speaking to you. Good to hear a familiar tone over in that region too. Look, you've been drafted in. You're a good fighter. You're a good fighter on the rise, looking to prove yourself. But you've been drafted into the Tyson Fury training camp to help him prepare for his fights. What's that experience been like?
Yeah, it's been top quality experience. Sparring with number one man in the game. So I can only learn from it. I've done plenty of weeks hard sparring with him. So I'm just improving all the time.
In terms of those spars, can you break it down over the spars that you did with him in those weeks? Was he different each time, or showed you different things each time?
Yeah, well, obviously you're gonna get sharper over the weeks. As it's getting closer to the fight. We're getting sharper. We're both getting sharper. He's obviously very tricky, very technical. Quite unpredictable, really. So it's always something different with him. To be honest, he can switch stances. He can hit a move. He can come forward, go back. So you're just learning the all-round package, really.
When I spoke to one of his other training partners for this camp, Nick Webb, he told me he was very surprised how good Tyson was on the inside. Nick was saying his part of his game is to lean on his opponents, but Tyson just took that away from him and made that his game in there. Were you surprised by that? Were there elements of Tyson's game that you were surprised by from experiencing it as opposed to seeing it on camera?
He's very good on the inside, for such a tall, rangy fighter. He's very comfortable inside, gets his arms free, gets little angles inside and that. So, yeah, he's very good on the inside.
Now, bringing this to yourself, in terms of you growing as a fighter, what did you take from that, and what did you take from any conversations you had with Tyson during your time there?
Just, taking all the experience that I'm gaining in the ring, you just getting better, just learning all these little things, trying to, we might do something against me the next bar. I think, right, I'm going to try and do that back, you know what I mean? And trying to improve all the time, back and forth things, and just keep raising the game every time.
So, English champion, what's the latest with yourself in terms of you getting out? Are you out before the end of the year?
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be out before the end of the year. We're just in some negotiation process at the minute with different things, and hopefully, before the end of the year, we can get out and get one.
It'll be no secret that you're obviously keeping your eye on the British title as well, and that title has been contested this weekend between Fabio Wardley and David Adelaide. Who do you favour of the two?
Yeah, it's going to be a close fight, I think. I've been leaning towards Wardley. I think he's a little bit more, a little bit more experienced from his fights he might have gained. He looked a little bit cuter in the ring. So I'm leaning towards Wardley, but I think it could go either way, to be honest. They've both shown vulnerabilities.
Have you sparred both men?
I've only sparred Wardley. Literally a couple of rounds. We was both sparring Joe Joyce a while back. That was a while back before my debut. I did a few rounds with Joyce, and then Wardley jumped in. I did 2 rounds with him. So yeah, only 2 rounds. It was about 2 years ago as well.
I find it quite strange that, look, when it comes to British boxers, especially in the heavyweight division, everyone gets around sparring. Everyone spars each other, and they've all picked the brains of each other. But neither Wardley or Adelaide have ever sparred each other.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. In Britain, there's only so many, good heavyweights. So, if you want a good sparring, you've got to spar these guys. And more often than not, they're going to be your rivals. You're in your weight class. But yeah, they've never crossed paths. It's one of them. I've not sparred Adelaide before either, but he's probably one of the only ones that haven't.
Now, bringing it back to the main event, Fury and Ngannou. A lot of people are writing off Ngannou's chances. Someone who won't be will be Tyson Fury, because he'll obviously take this as a professional contest and look to not have or can't afford any slip-ups with what's on the line for him further. But do you see any ways of any form of success for Francis? Do you watch any of his MMA fights and see anything that he could do in the ring?
No, I've not really watched too much of him, to be honest. I might have seen the odd highlight reel or something like that, but he's a novice boxer at the end of the day. The only thing you can give someone in the heavyweight division is power and a puncher's chance, but he's been in there with the biggest punchers, Tyson, and you got to land those punches. And with the limited boxing background, I just don't see how we can land anything clean and sustained.
Now, I'm not saying this to discredit you, but people have been saying about Francis Ngannou, they're saying that they wouldn't fancy his chances of any of him against any of the heavyweights, whether at what stage of the ladder they are in their career. Would you fancy your chances against Francis Ngannou because of his limited boxing and because of where you are in terms of your boxing career too?
I wouldn't fancy my chances. It'd be one-sided. You know what I mean? If I don't think I could beat a man like that that's not at a boxing fight, then what am I doing really? That would be one-sided. I believe probably all the heavyweights on the card would beat Francis, to be honest. You know what I mean? There's a lot of heavyweights on that card on Saturday. They'd all think that they would be beating him. You know what I mean? They'd be disappointed to think that they would lose to Francis because he's had no boxing fights. You know what I mean? So, yeah, if I was to fight him, I'd expect to definitely be taking him out there.
There's Alexander Usyk, who's flying in, I believe he's landed in Riyadh. Do you expect a little bit of a fire between Fury and Usyk this weekend?
Yeah, there might be, probably jumping in the ring, calling out, all that kind of stuff, yeah. It's part of the show, innit? And that fight's been penciled in, apparently. So, yeah, they're gonna have some words to say, aren't they?
So a couple of final things from me, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of your week. Anthony Joshua, someone at the top of the tree looking to climb back and regain one of the titles in the future. A lot of talk about what his next moves are and this innovative darkness retreat as well to strengthen his mind. Is that something you'd ever consider doing? What do you think of that training method?
If he needs those measures, he needs those measures. Would I try it? I don't think I'd need something like that. But sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures, don't they?
So bringing this back to yourself, when you get to the top of the tree, do you look at the other heavyweights in the scene? Who else do you think will be there and thereabouts with you when you get there?
Yeah, obviously you've got the British scene now. I'd like the winner of that Woody Adelaide, so I'd beat them, get them out of the way. Then you've got a few guys, but you've got a few guys around the world. There's some dangerous heavyweights around the world. Obviously you've got your Jared Anderson in America, Richard Torres. You've got a few other guys all over. You know what I mean? Someone might emerge. You just don't know. Some Russians or like that. So I don't know, man. It just depends. You all have to fight and then see who ends up at the top.
You pushing for the Birmingham headliner?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something we want in it. So, my last fight was in Birmingham. That was great. Let's get big fights in Birmingham. That's what we want, man.
That's what we want indeed. Sol, been a pleasure speaking to you. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks for speaking to Seconds Out, sir.
Much appreciate it.